Okay, everybody, it is fight night, and in the left-hand corner, we have this Xbox Series X, and in the right-hand corner, we got the Sony PlayStation 5, and they ready to get it in, they ready to throw some blows, so let's get it. All right, for real, we ain't gonna get violent. We just gonna have a nice sit down, and we gonna talk some tech. Let's jump into this. Perfect. Alright, so I've had both consoles for a little over 2 weeks now, and within the last 2 weeks, I've done the most gaming I've done those last 2 weeks that I've done in the last 7 years combined. So the first thing I want to jump into is the design of these consoles. They both took a completely different directions, with the Sony PlayStation 5 going a more futuristic look and the Series X going a more simplistic design. The Sony is really big. Like, it is really big, and the Series X is just like this little short chubby black box, and it has like this really simplistic look, and it just looks really clean and pretty much can fit in well in any spot. The Sony, it's gonna stand out, like just literally, it's just gonna stand out for its size, for everything about it, the black and white, it's gonna stand out. And it being so big, if you're trying to fit this in like a living room space or something, it'd be much easier, like kind of like this blend in with any space you have. It can fit almost anywhere, and it will blend into any look you have. PlayStation 5, I don't think you get this to blend in just because of the color scheme. If it matches your color scheme you already have right now, that'll work out fine. But just the size of this thing, and to me, it looks best standing up. And even if it didn't look good standing up, after putting on the stand, I don't want to like have to try to change it again. If I wanted to change, if I didn't like the Series X standing up and I want to change it, it'd be simple just to lay it down on the side. But the PS5, you have to unscrew the screw that's holding it in the stand, then you have to like kind of fiddle with it to get it on the side. And I really don't like the whole stand concept of, and even like trying to juggle changing the orientation of the PlayStation 5. Well, another thing I give the PlayStation 5 is the lights on the PlayStation 5. It's a really nice touch. It looks really cool, especially like in a dark room, like that glow that comes off of the lights and the PlayStation 5 front. Like, it looks really cool. Even though the Series X is really simplistic as far as the design, it does have this nice touch with the green, like this little green on the top of the vents. If you look at it at an angle, like, it looks really nice and cool, so I like that about that. But as far as the design of each console, I like them both, and this is really like a really subjective, whatever you like, the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox console. So as far as the design, I give both of them a draw. For round two, let's talk about the storage. To me, it is ridiculous that both consoles didn't at least come with 2 terabytes of storage. For these next gen games, they take up a large amount of storage. I mean, after like 6 to 7 games, like, you're completely out of space with these consoles. So these consoles, in my opinion, should have at least came with nothing less than 2 terabytes of storage. But just to jump into it, the PlayStation 5 to me takes another L in this category, because out of the box it comes with 825 gigabits of storage, with only about 600, I think 67 of that actually being available to use. The OS takes up the rest of that space, so you're talking about a little over half of a terabyte actually available to use with the PlayStation 5. The Series X, on the other hand, has 1 terabyte storage, with about 802 of that available for you to actually use. So you got to give Xbox a point here just by having the larger available storage available to use. With the larger SSDs of the Xbox Series X, you can also expand your storage with the Seagate's 1 terabyte expansion cards. These expansion cards can go right into the back of the console in the expansion card slot. Using these expansion cards, you take no loss in speed and quality of the drive. So with these expansion cards, you get the same exact speeds you're getting with internal drive, and so you're not going to lose any of the load times, the write speeds, read speeds. It's the exact same, and they are a little bit on the expensive side, but it gives you the exact same performance you're getting as internal drive as far as with those expansion cards. For me, I would have liked those expansion cards to be 2 terabytes again, because I said the size of these next gen games, they take up a lot of space. So You'll have more space in the bigger picture, but I hope that there's more third-party companies that comes out with those expansion cards that gives the same performance but with a higher storage capacity. Over here in the right hand corner, the story's a little bit different. PlayStation 5 has no official way of expanding the storage, so not only does it get less available use of storage, but it also has no way to actually expand the storage. There is a way to expand the storage using an external SSD, but that comes with some limitations, being that you can only install PlayStation 4 games on there. You can't install PlayStation 5 games on there, and you're definitely not going to get the same load speeds or the same performance you're getting from the internal drive as the external SSD playing those PlayStation 4 games. So in my opinion, that is a big L for the Sony PlayStation 5. Right now, I don't think there's no official word from Sony on being able to expand the internal SSD. There are some hacking ways that exist out there that I don't know if it works or not, but I wouldn't even trust it. Series X makes it really simple, though expensive. It is really simple to expand your storage. Okay, for the next round, we're gonna talk about graphics. The graphics on both consoles looks amazing. If you do a blind test, you won't be able to tell which console is which. Technically speaking, the Series X has more processing power than the PlayStation 5, but we don't care about these numbers. We care about how they actually perform. And looking at the graphics side by side, close your eyes, open your eyes, look at them, you won't be able to tell the difference between one console to the next. I mean, there's some people that's doing some really technical explanations of the frame rates and all of that stuff, but to me, they both look the same. They both perform the same. Some games does look a little bit better than the others, but graphically, I think they are equal. But I think I was bamboozled. I feel like everyone was bamboozled, but I know I was. Because when they marketed these consoles, they told me about 4K, HDR, 120 frames per second with ray tracing. But when I got these consoles, I was quickly disgusted. I was really pissed off that you can't have it all when it comes to 4K, 120 hertz, and ray tracing. You have to choose either high refresh rate or really good graphics. When I say high refresh rate, I don't mean 120 hertz. I'm talking about if you choose ray tracing, you're getting that ray tracing at 30 frames per second. And this is just as far as the games I've tested. It was 4K HDR with ray tracing on. You're getting that at 30 frames per second. Then you get another option for higher refresh rate, which is just 4K at 60 frames per second. And I know some games will do 4K at 120 frames per second, but my TV can't handle 120 frames per second, so I haven't really been able to try that out. When I get my new TV, I know that new LG already been announced that's coming out in March, so I'm gonna be all over that when it drops. But for right now, I'm really disappointed that these consoles that just spoke about so much graphical power, so much processing power, but when these consoles drop, they can't do all of these cool little highlight features all at once. And I really felt like that was supposed to make these next gen consoles. So yeah, I feel hoodwinked when it came to those. So I say both these consoles take an L in this round. Just they knocked each other out. For comparison's sakes, I guess I should note that the Series X includes variable refresh rate, but the PlayStation 5 does not. There was a statement that came out that's saying that Sony was gonna add variable refresh rate at some point in time, but for right now, it's not there. And who knows when it's gonna actually come, but out the box, Series X includes variable refresh rate, which I feel like this is a big deal. So I guess I can give the Series X a point for this round, but overall, I am still disappointed. Ding, 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 ding. Next round, backwards compatibility. This I would say is easily a win for the Series X because the PlayStation 5 have little to no backwards compatibility. You can play PlayStation 4 games, but you'll have some issues playing most of them. So the amount of PlayStation 4 games you can actually play is really limited. And if you try to play anything past that, just forget about it. On the other hand, with Series X, you can just about play almost every game that's been made for Xbox. And I mean, going all the way back to the OG Xbox, you can play everything. Not only can you play just about every game ever made for any Xbox console, the Series X has this feature called Auto HDR, which adds HDR to those older games that were made way before HDR was ever a thought in anyone's mind. That capability to me is a serious big win for Microsoft and how they was able to pull that off. I mean, every game you won't see a drastic difference with the auto HDR feature, but some games look like a completely new game with that auto HDR. The PlayStation 5 on the other hand has no such features, so I would say I give the Series X another 2 points for this round, being that backward compatibility is really strong with the Series X compared to PlayStation 5 where it's almost nothing. And if you're anything like me, who I have missed out on a lot of those games that came out over the last couple of years where I wasn't gaming that much, if you get Game Pass has just about every single game on there. Like a couple more dollars than just getting the Xbox Live subscription. You can get Game Pass and the catalog on there is just huge. Comparing that to the PS5 catalog, I think there's about probably like 5 to 10 games actually on there you can just go in and buy it. I'm talking about like older like PlayStation 4 games. You have a lot of the newer PlayStation 5 games on there, but as far as like any older games, the options are really limited. Adding to the backwards compatibility, we have to discuss the ability to use your older Xbox controllers with the Series X. If you have all your Xbox One controllers, you might have 4 or 5 of them controllers sitting around, or them Elite controllers. You can just pick those controllers up and use those on your Series X. Just about all the accessories from any older Xboxes you can use with the Series X. For the PlayStation 5, whew, that story is quite a bit different. If you want to use your PlayStation 4 controller that you have on the PlayStation 5, it will work, but there's a but. Those controllers will only work with PlayStation 4 games. So to me, it just seems like with the PlayStation 5, they want you to buy all new everything. They want you to buy new controllers, all new accessories. They want you to just start off fresh with the PlayStation 5, because backward compatibility just doesn't exist with accessories and games. And on the flip side with Series X, no matter what you want to do, your old games, your old controllers, just plug it right in, just plug and play, things will work. And the experience is actually better using those older accessories and games on the Series X if you want to use them on the Series X. So I would say let's throw another couple points in this round for the Series X. Speaking of the controllers, we have to discuss the PlayStation 5's controller, because that thing is amazing. I think that controller alone makes PlayStation 5 a next-gen console. Sony put a lot of technology into that controller, from the adaptive triggers to the haptics on that controller is just great. Series X controller is very small, subtle changes to the controller. If you just take a quick glance at it, you won't notice any differences to the controller. It's still a really good controller, and the quote is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the controller on PlayStation 5 is on another level, and for this round, I would easily give a point to Sony for that controller. The only issue I have with the PlayStation 5 controller is not the controller itself, but the compatibility with games. The Astro's Playroom is like the only game that takes advantage of that PlayStation 5 controller, and I was kind of disappointed that the Miles Morales game didn't take more advantage of the controller, because it was one of the first PlayStation 5 exclusives to drop with the PlayStation 5, and it really did not take any considerations with adding any of the features of that controller to the game. I was really hoping to see more of the controller being used in that game, but it just wasn't there. And I don't know how many other games are going to take advantage of the controllers. With all the hard work that Sony put into that controller, without those games actually using those features in the controller, I don't know if this controller would be a thing that's going to separate the two consoles. And it's pretty much a waiting game to see what happens with the developers. I would expect that more first party Sony games will take advantage of the controller, but being that the Miles Morales game really didn't take any advantage of the controller, I don't know what else games will, but I'll be waiting around to see. I hope that more games take advantage of the controller, because that controller by itself is really it's really an impressive controller. Unfortunately, with comparing these two consoles, we have to discuss the fan noise. These consoles are very powerful and they both put out a pretty good amount of heat. I don't have anything to actually test the actual temperature that's coming out of that, but just going by the feel of the hand, both of them feel like they're putting out the same amount of heat. The only difference is the Xbox is pretty much silent. You have to go like really close to it to like hear any kind of audible sound. The PlayStation 5, the first couple days of playing it, it was also really silent. Just a couple of times, like I've heard the fan sounding like there was like a disc spinning in there, even though this is the discless console. It had a few moments where it sounded like, I don't know, like a CD spinning inside of it. It kind of like that fan noise was sounding. Which was weird, but it only happened a few times. But as I played it more often in like the last week, I would say, like I've been putting in a much more time playing on there, the fan noise actually picked up over time, where I was hearing that disc spinning type sound like very consistently. I don't know, maybe my fan is broken or what, but the fan noise isn't like super loud or anything. It's just that it's just an annoying sound. Again, the Xbox, it's like no matter how long I've played it, the fan speed doesn't ever kick up. The audible noise doesn't ever pick up. It's like a consistent low, like you can come really close to it and you can hear like the, but there's practically no fan noise when it comes to the Xbox. So this round, gotta give another point to the Xbox just for having pretty much no fan noise, and the PlayStation 5 having a very audible noise you can hear. One of my biggest issues with either console have to be with the PlayStation 5 and how it handles the default into PlayStation 4 version of games. I had this issue day one when downloading the Spider-Man game. I downloaded the game and it was like the PlayStation 4 version. It wasn't obvious that I had the PlayStation 4 version, and it wasn't nothing that was like there to distinguish between PlayStation 5 version of games and PlayStation 4 version of games. I did find out how to switch to the PlayStation 5 version of the game, but it just wasn't intuitive and wasn't obvious inside of the UI to make that distinction between the two games. I think there's still people today, weeks later, that's probably still playing the PlayStation 4 version of the Spider-Man game. Playing the wrong version of a game is one issue, but Sony is downloading both versions of the game on your consoles. We already know that the space on these consoles are limited and these games take up a lot of space. So Sony downloading both versions of the games onto your console is taking up unnecessary space. And right now, there's no way for you to like delete the PlayStation 4 game and only have the PlayStation 5 version sitting on your console. So to me, Sony really dropped the ball with this, and I hope they come out with a fix for this sooner rather than later, because it is very annoying and I don't see no logical reason for us downloading both versions of the game. With the Series X, things are the complete opposite. Series X has a feature called Smart Delivery, and Smart Delivery ensures that you're getting the correct version of any game that you're downloading. And if you're downloading the Xbox One game, it makes sure you're getting the optimized versions of those games. And even when you're on the download, the store page, it will like give you, like, it's clearly stated that a game is optimized for the Series X and the Series S, so you can just pick those games from the store. Another feature I love about the Series X is Quick Resume. Quick Resume allows you to switch between games and go back to the exact same spot where you left off at. You don't have to really go back through the loading screen or anything like that. Even though the loading times for games are really fast, the Quick Resume make things really convenient by just playing the game, pausing in at one spot, jumping to another game. That game picks up at the exact same spot you left off, go back to that other game, and that game's still sitting there where you left off at. Even if you turn off the console and go back into a game, you still pick up at the exact same spot that you left off without having to go through all those loading screens all over again. The PlayStation 5, it kind of does this, but in a watered down way, with being you can only do it with like one game. So if I'm playing the Spider-Man game and I turn off my console and then I turn it back on, I can pick back up right where I left off without going through the loading screen again. But if I was to switch to a different game and then try to come back to like Spider-Man or something, every you switch games, it will load it completely over again. So it's like only able to hold like one game in memory at a time. So you can keep one game alive. Like if I shut down the PlayStation 5 and open it back up, I can jump right back into where I left off if I open that same game. But if, like I said, going to any other game, you completely have to start over again. Loading times are fast, but Quick Resume like really changes the game, allowing you to quickly pick up like where things left off. All right, next round. Next round, we're gonna discuss the bugs. And we know with any new technology, there are going to be some bugs. And I'm here to confirm that both systems have bugs. Right now, they all seems to be software issues. I don't think any of these have any hardware issues that I've noticed, but being an early adopter to any new technology, any new console, we know it's a given that there will be some type of bugs. A lot of the bugs I've noticed so far, I don't really feel like it's been with the actual console. Some of them has been with the games, but I can't say that I've noticed much more bugs with the PlayStation 5 that I've noticed with the Xbox. One of the main bugs I've noticed so far with the Xbox has been with Quick Resume. Quick Resume is a really great feature and I really love that feature, but it doesn't work all the time. Just gotta be upfront. Quick Resume have not worked really well a lot of the times. When it works great, but it is still buggy. I'm pretty sure, like I said, a fix for that can come out really fast for that. I'm not really worried about it. If you came in expecting the perfect console to come out with no issues, you're lying to yourself. With the PlayStation 5, I've had like some weird issues. One of them being with like, I've had like some jitters in the screen. I don't know what that was. It's little lines in the screen while you playing the game. With the PlayStation 5, I've also had like issues with it freezing or just like kind of hangs a little bit. Like the PlayStation 5 have really fast load time. So like sometimes I'm playing like a one scene will just like hang. It could be PlayStation 5, it could just be the game. Like I said, right now I can't really tell whether it's PlayStation 5 or whether it's a game. Like the display issue, I've seen that across multiple games. But as far as like the freezing and hanging, it happened just a handful of times. So it's nothing I'm concerned about, just hoping that a fix comes out for that. Overall, PlayStation 5 has been just a little bit more buggy than the Series X, but I say both consoles, I'll just give this a draw because, like I said, with any new technology, you're gonna have some bugs that are expected. I'm not gonna knock either one of them for having bugs, because so far I think it's been like 2 updates already came out for the PlayStation 5. It has already been like 1 update came out for the Series X. So software updates gonna come out really fast. A lot of things lives in the cloud. We can push these out things really quickly. I haven't noticed any physical issues with any of these consoles. It might be a fan issue with this console, I don't know, but no really huge bugs with either console. All right, final round. By now you could probably kind of like assume what console I would choose if I had to choose one, and just to confirm, I would definitely choose the Series X over the PlayStation 5, and that's just because the Series X just seems like just a little bit more polished right now than the PlayStation 5. I did get both consoles just because I knew that there were some PlayStation exclusives that's what's gonna come out. That, I guess that's gonna be like another category as far as like exclusive games. PlayStation definitely has more exclusive games. I think down the line Xbox will have a lot more exclusive games, but for my gaming, I'm not a huge gamer, so I'm not gonna play a bunch of games. I have like a handful, 3 to 4 or 5 games that I'll probably play, and most cross-platform games I would definitely get on a Series X, and then I have the PlayStation 5 for those exclusive games that's just gonna be out on Sony. So that's pretty much like my use case of how I'll be dealing with both consoles. But as far as just my experience, I just wanted to share that with you, to anyone out there that's possibly still in the middle between what consoles they want to get. Use my experience to kind of help you make that decision. But we all know that there's some heavy fanboys in these consoles, people that love the Xbox, people that love the PlayStation 5, and nothing's gonna change their mind. And yeah, I'm pretty sure my video probably won't change your mind either. And you just leave all your comments below. You feel like I missed something. If you feel like you agree or you don't agree with some of the things I brought up, just drop them in the comments, man. I'll be down there with you to check them out. But I really do feel like no matter what console you go with, both these consoles is a big win. I think this is the future of next gen gaming. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you really enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. You already know what it is. This was another Joe Tech Talk. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming. Catch me in the next one, and I am out.